Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So on today's video, we're working on the GX470. I bought this eBay wing right here for the rear. It's color matched to the 070 color, which is the pearl color for the GX. So we're gonna go ahead and install this today on the car, as well as wire everything up. So stay tuned. So I bought this wing on eBay for about $180. This is the same one that you can find on Amazon as well as other places online. But overall, once I got it, everything was pretty good. It's well packaged. Everything looked pretty good. The clear coat, not that great, but you know, acceptable for the price. I mean, you get these basically unpainted for like $70 to $80 and paint it yourself. But I got this pre-painted just the way it is. Just so I didn't have to deal with it. So this thing's pretty much a copy of the OEM one. I think the biggest difference is it comes with this foam right here as well as that foam. On the OEM one, you actually use tape, double-sided tape around here like in a U shape. And then it really only has 2 bolts on either side. And the other hole for it on the OEM one is actually for a peg, or it's like a clip that you actually have to put into the trunk of your thing, and then you slide that in and then you screw in the stud. But for this one, they just end up using 2 studs, or really 2 screws, because that's what they provide you with here. They provide you with 4 screws, 2 on each side, and you screw it in. I'm gonna do it a slightly different way. I've actually got some M6 by 1.0 studs, basically 10mm studs that I'm gonna put into here. And then I'm gonna put it through the new holes we drill and use nuts. That's just slightly different because I think doing it that way, it makes it easier to get that in and kind of line everything up. And all you have to do is just screw the nut in. In addition, I found the factory instructions for the OEM one. So I kind of saw everything that the OEM one comes with versus this one. Another big difference, I think the OEM one comes with a blank out plate for the third brake light here. But on here, they just put a piece of foam, and this basically just covers it up on that spot. So this particular one also comes with a clear third brake light. I know some people don't like the clear, but I think that looks much more modern. Also, before you start, you probably want to check the threads in here. Some of them have paint in them from the painting process, so you just basically want to just re-chase those threads right there off the vehicle, so that way you can get the screws in later and it doesn't cross thread or strip on you. So just put a 10mm screw in there, thread it through and back and forth a couple times just to make sure that you loosen all that paint out of there. So for this thing, the template for drilling the holes is these little strips right here. They basically have the holes. What you do is you stick it on, you line up your holes here, and it kind of hangs off. Once you find a spot on your vehicle and the way you like it by using some painter's tape or masking tape to hold it down, you basically tape this to the window or to the body and it leaves it behind. And once you do that, it basically leaves your pattern for you to drill. In addition, the OEM instructions show you how to remove this thing. You basically get a clip popper, and there's 4 spots up here that you kind of release the clip, and that thing just pops right out. So we'll go ahead and do that, because then we could run the wire through over here and make the wiring connection behind here. A lot of the people online that I see, they end up doing the wiring connection on the inside behind the panel, but I want to keep it as OEM as possible on my install. So on the vehicle, we'll go ahead and remove these caps right here, because when we drill the holes, one of the holes is actually going to line up for this cap. Since this one uses 2 holes, we're going to have to drill another hole. Once you take this plastic off, there's an angle that you could kind of drill up to kind of hide it all. Otherwise, you're going to have to drill it here and find a plug that looks like that, which is not very difficult because this is just a little rubber plug. The way I'm going to do it, I'm going to go ahead and drill it at this angle once we take this off, and then plug it from there so you can't see it. So these strips come with some double-sided adhesive right there. Just go ahead, peel that off, line the hole up to where you need it to be right there perfectly. And then when we get it back onto the vehicle, we'll decide where exactly we want to put it on there and go ahead and tape it down. It really helps to have 2 hands for this, but I'm gonna go ahead and try to do it by myself. First thing we're gonna do is go ahead and put these strips on, line them up so we can go ahead and get this on the vehicle and kind of mark all our holes. All right, we got it all set. On this one, we couldn't put it right over the hole just because the adhesive is right in the middle and there's no room for it. So I put it off to the side, and I ended up marking it with a Sharpie with an arrow, so I know to drill basically an inch or a half an inch to that direction for the new hole for the wire harness. So we'll go ahead and lay it onto the vehicle now just to measure this all out. So one of the things you want to do is just kind of look at all the different spacings around here just to see how you want everything to line up. Because you basically want to cover the center up where the old third brake light was. That lines up there. And then on either side, you're going to have slight variation on height and things like that. So you just want to make sure all your gaps are good. And then I got this tape right here. I'm going to try to tape some of it down just to see if I can hold it. So we got it taped up there just to double check now all the different gaps. I think over here I need to go up a little bit more on this side, but I just want to make sure all the gaps are good here. When you're doing this, make sure your door is fully closed too. I don't think mine is, so right there. But yeah, I mean, pretty much it probably won't touch. The thing is, you just want to make it pretty much square and all good. So this side, I just want to take it a little bit higher up. I think I got everything pretty much where I want it to go. So I'm gonna go start setting these things down right here. All right, once you're good, we'll release the tape and just pull this off and leave the other tape behind. And we should have our markings close to what we need them to be. All right, I've got it basically marked right there. I put that second piece of tape and flattened it down. So right here, you can see kind of bulges up a little. You gotta basically decide once you take it off, go up or down. I went ahead and went up on this one. One of the things I'm gonna do, I'll measure the hole right here just to verify that the height and the distance from the edge are equal on both sides. But after that, we'll go ahead and use this center punch right here, get the exact hole, and then we'll go ahead and drill that hole. All right, I went ahead and made the measurements and everything was within a couple millimeters. So what I'm gonna do is go ahead, first hole, just wanna get it in the middle and put the center punch just to get that spot to start your drilling. And then we'll do the same up here. One of the things I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use a smaller drill bit to do a pilot hole, and then I'll step it up to the bigger one. So that's pretty good center punch. It takes away the paint and it gives us a nice spot to start our drill bit. All right, so we got all the center punches done. Go ahead and get the drill bit. So in the OEM instructions, one of the things they recommend you do, you roll a piece of masking tape with the outside like this, stick it in this hole, because what we're gonna do when we drill, we wanna catch any of those shavings so they don't drip down into the door and rust or corrode. So we'll go ahead and put this in on either side since we took this hole out already right here. All right, we'll go ahead and try to pop this thing out. So I'm gonna just use a clip popper, come in from the top and try to push down. Here, pop. 4 of them. It is on here with adhesive. It helps to get a razor or something to kind of cut it off. Fuck. Broke this spot right here. Broke a little spot, but it is loose. The adhesive's holding it in. So the best way is once you pop the front there, you actually have to get something underneath, get it over that ridge. There's a ridge at the bottom. And then it pops, oh, there you go. Once you get that, it pops right out. And then it has this plug right here, which luckily I have this plug. This is a common plug that I own, so I can make the extension cord over to here like the OEM one has. So what it was these 4 up top right here that held it in. All this old foam kind of got stuck and was acting like a glue. And on the bottom here, you have to get that past the ledge right here. So that's why you had to pop the top and then squeeze the bottom out. Do not do the sides. You're gonna end up breaking them like I did over here on this side. So just remember to just pop from the top and the bottom only. So I went through all my box of connectors and everything that I collect from the junkyard, and I found the correct connector right here. So this thing is the matching connector, basically that one. If you guys ever want to know what your connectors are, on the back side right there, there's always a 5-digit number, and that's basically the part number for this. So you just compare that and you can actually order replacements if you want. So I'm gonna go ahead and use this to make a jumper harness. And then I have new plugs right here, or I could just use some old plugs I have to create the other end. So that way I can make it plug onto the other end near the spoiler. Or if you just want to be lazy and fish that spoiler wire straight over, and then just put this plug right here onto that end and then just plug it straight into the car. All right, we'll go ahead and start the couple pilot holes. I end up putting about a 1/2 inch stop on here. Go ahead and just oh, the 1/2 inch stop didn't really do much, slid all the way down, but so we got that first hole in there. Go ahead and get the one for the wire harness. So next I'm going to drill the bigger hole. So the factory manual recommends a 10mm bit. I went ahead and used, I think this is about an 8 or a 9. It's 11/32, I believe, this drill bit. So, and you see these right here, I decided to put some magnets on here to catch some of the dust and metal bits that come off of here. So this one, you just got to be slow and steady on these. All right, it's good there. Those magnets caught most of the metal shavings. Just go ahead and clean that up. Make sure you don't scratch your paint. So that 11/32 hole, once you drill it, it's kind of big. So it's not overly big. It's gonna give you enough movement and whatever to kind of make adjustments, but I'm gonna go ahead and use a smaller drill bit on the other side and just use this side as more my adjustment and my free play side. On this side, I stepped down to about a 7mm. I went ahead and put a magnet over here to catch some of it on the inside. Even though I've got the tape on there, I'll go ahead and just do this. All right, and this one I gotta make it a little bit bigger. I'm gonna use my step bit to get that bigger. Only got about like 3/4 of an inch behind this thing to work with. So got my fat step right here. I only need to go down like 2 steps. All right, so we got this with the big hole right there for the wire harness. So everything's good. So the next thing I want to do is I'm gonna go ahead and deburr these, get something in there just to clean them up so you get rid of all the sharp edges on both the holes. And then after that, what we're gonna do is just get some sealant on here. I'm just gonna use some touch-up paint, kind of get it into there so we can make sure we seal this up so it doesn't corrode. Wipe this whole area down and then get this thing ready and kind of test fit the spoiler on to make sure everything fits. All right, I went ahead and put those studs in right here. As you can see, they don't go in straight as far as the angle just because they're on different curves, and that's what makes it difficult if you were to try to get screws into here from the back side. So that's why I ended up trying to do these studs. I think the studs are a much better way to go anyways, just for fitting purposes. All right, I wish I pushed the wire back in a little bit so I just fish it through and not lose too much of it. Holes all line up perfect. No issues here. Yeah, that fits nice. All right, so now that we confirm that everything fits, I'm gonna go ahead, clean up those holes, put in the sealant and paint, and let that dry a little bit before I mess with it, just so we can make sure that doesn't corrode up there. Using this little deburring tool that comes with my flaring kit, just kind of get it in there. And all it is just to clean up the holes, especially this one where the wire's gonna go. I'm gonna end up putting a grommet in here anyways, but we'll do this just in case, just to get all the sharp edges out. All right, I went ahead and popped all these panels off back here. They come out pretty easily. They're just these little push-in clips, so just pull it away from there, and then the top one, just pull it straight down or at an angle towards you, and you pop it right out of there. But for that secondary hole that we have in here, I'm gonna go ahead on this side right here on the outside. There's this little spot right here that perfectly lines up with your hole on the back side. So I'm gonna go ahead and drill or do a punch and then drill a hole there. I'm gonna do a 15mm hole because I've got these OEM 15mm rubber caps right here that I'm gonna end up plugging that with. Even though it's hidden, you can pretty much leave it open because you probably don't need that because it's not gonna be visible, but I'm kind of OCD, so I'm gonna go ahead and plug that. Same on this side, there's not that little spot, so you kind of gotta guess where it's gonna be. It's closer to right here. So again, you could either take a screwdriver, put it on the other side and kind of feel your spot here, or just guess it and then hope for the best. All right, we ended up getting that thing perfect. We're able to see daylight on the other side. So we get a 10mm socket right into there. It's exactly 15mm, and our little plug right here plugs right into there and holds. So pretty much done on this side. And then the next thing we need to do, just clean out all the bits and everything in there with a magnet, and then go ahead and put a little bit of touch-up paint around those bare edges to keep them from corroding. Okay, so I ended up doing the touch-up paint around the holes just to seal those up. I got one of my little generic grommets from one of my Harbor Freight kits, put it right there for the wire harness. So I'm gonna fish that thing over to here, put it through the hole, and then put everything back together up here. So that way I can get this thing bolted down. Then I'll do the wiring on the other side and leave a little bit of slack in here just in case. All right, so I think I'm gonna forego the sealing anything because I don't think it's gonna be an issue. So I just go ahead, put my third brake light, snap this thing into here because we've got all this foam tape and everything's gonna pretty much seal, plus those 2 screws. So everything's pretty much in there. So same with this thing. Once we screw it down, this thing's gonna press down on it and just kind of keep it there. I glued this broken piece back. It's never gonna be visible again. All right. So here, damn, I should have had some tape just to hold this up while I'm working. A 10mm here, shouldn't drop anything. These two on the sides are gonna be the tough ones because of the angle that we have to come in at. I was able to reach over and get my nut into here. So I was able to get that side. I dropped a few down here in the bottom. I'm about to go ahead and take this panel off camera to get those things back out. But on this side, I just couldn't get that thing in correctly over here. So I ended up kind of popping it up and removing the stud. And I put a screw with a little O-ring right there to hold it out and kind of guide it in place. And then I'm just gonna try to turn that thing into here and then get the stud in and over here on the bigger hole where we have much better access. So that's my next bet right there to get this thing tightened up. All right, got everything pretty much tightened up. This one I had to reach through here, kind of turn it by hand, get a wrench in from here and just get as much as I could. But this side was just a bad angle right there. It should have been closer to this spot right here to give me a little bit more room. Not exactly, but really it's right here, but you don't want to be on this seal if you have to drill a hole. Same with this side. I was able to get that with the screw in there and get it on that side and then just tighten it down. But pretty much done. Go ahead and seal that up. I'm gonna go ahead and put the wire harness onto here and plug this in. All right, so to figure out which one is positive and negative for Toyota, the white and black wire is always gonna be your negative. So on here, you can see it's on there. And then on the new LED aftermarket that we have here, the little stripe blue, it's gonna be different on the one you get just because, you know, different aftermarket people supply different colors. But I tested this before I got onto here with a 12 volt and the blue is the ground and the white and nothing on it is the 12 volt positive. So I'll go ahead and use this ratcheting crimper that I have. This is one of the coolest tools I've gotten in a long time. And what it does is this lets me kind of make a factory style crimp instead of heat shrink and solder. It makes it a lot quicker. I don't have to bust out all that equipment. All I have to do is just get this thing into here on the right size, put the cable through and then just squeeze it and it's gonna crimp it to a nice factory crimp. I am going to eventually heat shrink this, but to cover it up, so I'll put some heat shrink in here, get the new harness on, and then as far as the loom, I'm going to go ahead and put just a regular loom on here, not something like this, so I don't have to worry about slipping it on now. But if I did have some of this tubing, I could just stick it in there now too. For this one, I tested it, I made sure the right pin, so the red on this piece is going to be positive and the white's going to be negative. That's what that crimp looks like right there. You can see OEM, nice and crimped. Has the stoppers back there on the insulation and everything's nice. It's not gonna go anywhere. If you guys need the same tool, check out the links down in the description. You get this on Amazon, on AliExpress, and on eBay. This is a very good tool to have along with these little connectors as well as other types of crimps and everything. You could do OEM and factory type of crimps anywhere. All right, got that loom in there, so pretty much got it all in. Make sure you test that the brake lights are working before you button everything back together. I already did that, so I'm gonna go ahead and just put this baby back together. Hey guys, thanks for watching all the way to the end of this video on installing that spoiler. As you can see, it's a pretty simple and straightforward as long as you do all the measurements and take care of all the drilling and clean everything up and take your time doing this. If you found this video useful, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to the channel to stay on top of all my different DIY videos, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, turn on bell notifications to get notified every time I upload a video. For all these different projects, if I can do it, you guys can do it. I want to thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you guys next time.